Do you want to make work optional or have more flexibility in your life? Then you need to understand CoastFI. CoastFI is a variation on FIRE, financial independence to retire early. There's quite a few different variations, but CoastFI is one that I think really speaks to what a lot of people are looking for. Most people don't necessarily want to sacrifice everything in the present for some potential future. They want to have a little bit of the best of both worlds. And ultimately, most people really don't actually want to be fully retired. Most people enjoy what they do, or they have passions or other interests, and there's nothing wrong with making money from those things or spending time on them. The challenge is that they require a certain amount of income for a certain type of lifestyle, and those two things don't quite balance out currently. So what is CoastFI? CoastFI is basically stands for Coast Financial Independence, and it's really just kind of a thought process or methodology that, when you really understand it, can be quite powerful. So what this looks like is, if you save enough early on, then you can be in a place where your investments can grow to a place where you can comfortably retire down the road. So the key here is the earlier you start and the bigger nest egg you accumulate, basically the sooner you're going to be able to reach kind of that CoastFI point. And what this looks like is, once you've accumulated enough early enough and you have the time for that to compound, then you don't have to worry so much about saving. And this is a really big mental shift, because if you're the type of person that has done a good job of saving, then you are typically very concerned, or you're always trying to save more, right? And this is how I was. This is how a lot of my clients are. But the thing is, once you have the numbers and the analysis and you understand kind of what you've done and what that can look like long term, then it really opens the door to a lot of possibilities. So if you don't need to worry about saving as much, then your income could be less, or maybe you don't need any income, and that gives you a lot more flexibility. And so when you do that, you've got less pressure. You could switch careers, you could start a business, you could go to a different industry, you could work part-time, you could travel. When you only need to bring in enough money to basically support kind of your day-to-day, that leaves a decent chunk that you're probably saving right now that you don't necessarily need to bring in. Or you can also kind of look at this on a cyclical basis throughout your life of, there's going to be periods where you're going to make more, and there's periods where you're going to make less. And so maybe you have been in that period where you've been making more, but you could always downshift, and then you could always switch again, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And so you're not stuck into one way of doing this, but understanding where you're at in kind of the CoastFI journey and what that looks like for you can be huge to opening the door to just a different style of thinking, and potentially building a life that's more fulfilling and more around how you really want to spend your time. So what does this really look like? Here's some examples of, at different ages, how much you'd have to have saved and to produce a certain level of income. So if we say, let's say you're 30 years old, you want to have $12,000 a month in income, you need to have roughly $3.6 million to do that. But if you don't plan to retire, like fully retire, until 65, then today, at age 30, you would only need about $450,000 saved. That's going to compound over the next 35 years to get you to this point. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about CoastFI. Here's another example. Let's say you're 40 and you want to have $7,500 a month at retirement. So you have 25 years between now and when you would fully retire. If you had $500,000 saved, then that's going to grow and compound. All of this is approximate, hypothetical, but to that 2.25 million over the next 25 years. So the earlier you start, the less you need. The more time you have, the less you need. Obviously, the more income you want, the more you need. But thinking about it from the standpoint, you can put in context where you're at today versus where you need to be, and that can help you show maybe how close you are to reaching those retirement goals. I built a calculator that does this. This is where those numbers are based on. And so it's really easy to come in here and kind of, play with the numbers and see kind of what this looks like. And if you have any questions about, your specific situation and want to better understand, how close you are to that, shoot me a message. Happy to run this little simulation for you.